On March 11 of last year, Samsung released the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. They took some big steps from the previous year with the S6, they made some of the top phones of 2016, and to some, they were the top phones of 2016. But what about 1 year later? How well has this phone held up? Is it still a good pickup by now? Let's find out. As far as specifications go, the S7 Edge had nothing short of high-end. It came loaded with a Snapdragon 820 for models here in the US, the Adreno 530 GPU, 4GB of RAM, and a beefy 3600 mAh battery. And who could forget that gorgeous 5.5-inch Quad HD AMOLED display that bled over the sides with those curved edges. It made for one of the most attractive phones ever, and to this day, it's still pretty jaw-dropping. One really impressive thing about the Edge's design was it not only being premium in all aspects with its glass and metal construction and its 7.7mm frame, which, by the way, is nearly a millimeter thicker than the S6 so as to remedy that large camera bump, but it was also surprisingly durable. The S7 Edge turned out to be one of the stronger phones of 2016, and that was very intriguing. The S7 had other great things going for it, like an IP68 water and dust resistance rating, meaning you could take the phone swimming, spill something on it, wash it off and drop it in the toilet with no damage whatsoever, wireless charging and fast wireless charging, giving users a more convenient and pretty sick way of juicing up their phones. Not to mention, it also came with fast charging over micro USB, so going from 0 to 100 could be done in no time at all. It had an improved fingerprint reader, it was faster, more accurate, and it was actually usable. It had micro SD card support to expand the phone's storage, and it came with a headphone jack. Yes, I had to mention that. So on the outside, it seemed like the S7 was the perfect phone. I mean, it had almost everything you could want. Then you turn the phone on only to be greeted by Samsung's TouchWiz skin on top of Android. That version of Android being 6.0 Marshmallow at the time of the phone's release. Reviewers bashed TouchWiz, some giving it little to no mercy, even though Samsung lightened the skin a bit from the previous version found on the S6. There were fewer gimmicks and a tad less bloatware, but it was still TouchWiz. At first, the phone flew. It was incredibly fast, and the hope of a lag-free TouchWiz experience actually seemed possible. But over time, the nightmares of another laggy Samsung phone came to life. Mine started to lag shortly after the Google Pixel was released. Coincidence? Ha! Animation stutters and application hiccups became very apparent, but it wasn't nearly as bad as in previous years. Thankfully, the phone was still very usable. The phone had its Edge features, which honestly, after the first week, I totally forgot about. It had a number of S-themed applications, including S-Health, complete with that heart rate monitor on the back, which I also forgot about. S-Voice, which I hope Samsung forgets about. Samsung Pay, which I ended up loving. And aside from a couple other pre-installed apps, that was it. Samsung was definitely getting better with their skin, but again, it was still TouchWiz. Samsung's theme store made things a bit more bearable, and of course, since this is Android, you could install a third-party launcher and make it look the way you want it to. But it still turned some consumers off, and I heard countless "Samsung phones are too laggy, iPhone for the win" from smartphone buyers. Regardless, the S7 was still a top dog. Not only because of its spec sheet, not just because of its incredible screen, but also because of its camera. The S7 had what was arguably the best camera on a smartphone in 2016. If not the best, then it was definitely top 3 with the iPhone 7 Plus and Google Pixel. Pictures came out super crisp, clear, bright and punchy, and low light results were pretty satisfactory as well. And yes, selfies came out pretty nice as well, I will say that, and the cameras were nice and fast too, with one of my favorite features double tapping the home button to launch the camera, which made picture taking with this phone that much more enjoyable. And taking videos was nothing short of awesome as well, especially with OIS, optical image stabilization, and the ability to record in up to 4K resolution. Fast forward to March 2017, and I've got my S7 Edge running Android 7.0 Nougat, which is the latest version of Android minus a couple 0.1 updates, and we now have a better, easier to use version of multi-window. You can now double tap the recent apps button to jump back to the previously opened app. You've got better battery management and more. But not only that, we also got most of what we got on the Note 7 through Grace UX. It's pretty much Samsung's revamped UI. It came with a cleaner launcher, complete with blurred backgrounds, a refreshed camera application with a nicer gesture-based UI, a better notification shade, better quick settings where we find performance mode and the blue light filter. We got secure folder, device management to keep your system in check, and we also got a new set of power saving modes where you can lower your screen's resolution all the way down to 720p to help save more juice. I can say that as of now, the phone does feel a bit snappier, a bit quicker. Stutters are still present, but not as bad as they were before. Battery life seemed to get more consistent, and that's not saying that it wasn't consistent at all before, but there would be random power drains here and there. But that doesn't happen anymore. Right now, the S7 is more enjoyable to use, especially if you have that Exynos version. Trust me, it's even better. So as of now, the S7 is still an incredible phone. You can pick up an S7 for under $400, or you could pick up an S7 Edge for under $500. And now that the new Nougat update is live for pretty much every carrier, I would recommend picking this phone up as a budget option. So you could skip the OnePlus 3T, skip the Huawei Mate 9, skip the HTC Ultra. I could even say skip the LG G6 and Galaxy S8 just to save some cash and get away with a phone that still has great battery life, a gorgeous display, awesome features like Samsung Pay, secure folder, fast charging and fast wireless charging. You've got expandable storage, the phone is water resistant, and it still takes fantastic photos and videos by today's standards, and it still has a headphone jack. So 1 year later, the S7 and S7 Edge are still winners in my book, and I can easily recommend picking one up in 2017, especially with that Nougat update. And that kind of does away with Samsung's skin being the only real caveat. So what do you guys think of the S7 Edge 1 year later? Do you still have yours? Or do you plan on picking one up? Let us know by dropping a comment down below. We'd love to hear your feedback. But anyway, that does it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to the Android Police channel if you haven't already. But that does it for me. I'll talk to you guys later, and thanks for watching.